With regard to integrity of the client, matter that firm consider बोलता है with regard to integrity of a client, matter that a firm consider include for example बोलता है identity and business reputation of the client, identity and business reputation of the client, principal owner, key managerial person, related party, and TCWG बोलता है identity and business reputation of the client, principal owner, key management, and TCWG nature of the client operations and nature of the client operations including its business practice, nature of the client operation including its business practices, nature of the client relationship including business practice, nature of the client relationship including business practice बोलता है business बोलता है identity and business reputation of the client owner, client, principal owner, key management and related party, TCWG identity and business reputation. पहला identity and business reputation of the client, principal owner, key management, client, principal owner, key management related party, or TCWG nature of the operation including business practice, information concerning the attitude of the client, principal owner, key management, and TCWG towards such matters as aggressive interpretation of accounting standard and internal control. Information concerning the attitude of the client, principal owner, key management, and TCWG towards such matters as aggressive interpretation of accounting standard and internal control environment, whether the client is aggressively concerned in maintaining the firm's fee as low as possible. Identity बोलता है indication of inappropriate limitation on the scope of work, indication of inappropriate limitation in the scope of work, indication that client might be involved in money laundering or other criminal activity, indication that client might be involved in money laundering or criminal activity, reason for proposed appointment of non-reappointment of previous firm. Firm personnel should have knowledge of relevant industrial subject matter. फर्म पर्सनल के पास relevant knowledge होना चाहिए, एक्सपीरियंस होना चाहिए. पहला नॉलेज होना चाहिए, रेलेवेंट इंडस्ट्री और सब्जेक्ट मैटर का नॉलेज होना चाहिए, रेलेवेंट इंडस्ट्री और सब्जेक्ट मैटर का एक्सपीरियंस होना चाहिए, रेलेवेंट रेगुलेटरी एंड रिपोर्टिंग रिक्वायरमेंट and ability to gain the necessary skill and knowledge effectively. फर्म पर्सनल के पास नॉलेज होना चाहिए, रेलेवेंट इंडस्ट्री और सब्जेक्ट मैटर का. फर्म पर्सनल के पास एक्सपीरियंस होना चाहिए विद रेलेवेंट रेगुलेटरी रिपोर्टिंग रिक्वायरमेंट का. Firm has sufficient personnel with necessary capability and competence. Experts are available if needed. Individual meeting the eligibility criteria requirement to perform the engagement quality control. EQCR बोलता है engagement quality control review. Individual meeting the criteria and eligibility requirement. Individual meeting the criteria and eligibility requirement to perform the engagement. Firm would be able to complete the engagement within the reporting deadline. Firm would be able to complete the engagement within the reporting deadline. Firm would be able to complete the engagement within the reporting deadline. Individual meeting the criteria and eligibility requirement to perform the engagement. Expert are available. पहला जो है फर्म के पास एक्सपीरियंस होना चाहिए, दूसरा नॉलेज होना चाहिए. पहला फर्म के पास नॉलेज होना चाहिए, एक्सपीरियंस होना चाहिए. फर्म के पास नॉलेज होना चाहिए, रेलेवेंट इंडस्ट्री सब्जेक्ट मैटर का. फर्म पर्सनल के पास नॉलेज होना चाहिए, रेलेवेंट इंडस्ट्री और सब्जेक्ट मैटर. फर्म पर्सनल के पास एक्सपीरियंस होना चाहिए. बोलता है रिपोर्टिंग रेगुलेटरी रिक्वायरमेंट एंड रिपोर्टिंग रिक्वायरमेंट. बोलता है रेलेवेंट रेगुलेटरी एंड रिपोर्टिंग रिक्वायरमेंट का नॉलेज होना चाहिए. फर्म पर्सनल के पास सफिशिएंट फर्म के पास सफिशिएंट पर्सनल होना चाहिए विद नेसेसरी कैपेबिलिटी एंड कॉम्पिटेंस. एक्सपर्ट अवेलेबल होना चाहिए जब जरूरत पड़े तो. इंडिविजुअल मीटिंग द criteria and eligibility to perform the EQCR engagement quality control review are available. Firm would be able to complete the engagement within the reporting deadline. If there is a conflict between the firm and client, it should be properly resolved before accepting the client, where the client obtains the information that would have caused it to decline, and that in the decline and engagement if information had been obtainable earlier. अगर ऐसा होता कि इस इन्फॉर्मेशन को हम पहले पा जाते, मतलब पहले हमको मिल जाता, तो हम वो तो इंगेजमेंट ही एक्सेप्ट नहीं करते. तो पॉलिसी एंड प्रोसीजर ऑन कंटिन्यूस ऑफ इंगेजमेंट क्लाइंट रिलेशनशिप इंक्लूड द कंसिडरेशन ऑफ प्रोफेशनल, बोलता है इंक्लूड द कंसिडरेशन ऑफ professional and legal responsibility applied to the circumstances of professional and legal responsibility applied to the circumstances, including where there is a requirement for firm to report to persons who had made the appointment, and in some cases to regulatory authority, possibility of withdrawing from the engagement, पहला तो हो जाएगा possibility of withdrawing from the engagement or from both engagement and client relationship, or professional and legal responsibility applicable in the circumstances, including where there is a requirement for firm to report to the persons who had made the appointment, or in some cases to the regulatory authority. उसके बाद फिर policy and procedure on withdrawal from engagement या from both engagement and client relationship, address the issue that include the following, बोलता है discuss with the appropriate level of the client management and TCWG regarding the appropriate action that the firm might take based on the relevant fact and circumstances. Discuss the appropriate level with the client management and TCWG regarding the actions that the firm might take based upon the relevant fact and circumstances. If the firm determines that it is appropriate to withdraw, discussing with the appropriate level of the client. If the firm determines that it is appropriate to withdraw, discussing with the appropriate level of the client management and TCWG withdrawal from the engagement या from both engagement or client relationship, and reasons for such withdrawal, बोलता है withdrawal from engagement या from both engagement or client relationship, and reasons for withdrawal. Consider where there is a professional or legal requirement for firm to report the withdrawal from the engagement, बोलता है consider there is a professional regulatory or legal requirement PLR the professional legal or regulatory requirement for firm to report the withdrawal from engagement या from both engagement or client relationship, together with the reason for withdrawal to the regulatory authority. Also document issue consultation, ICCB issue consultation conclusion or reason basis of conclusion, issue consultation conclusion or basis for conclusion. Firm should establish policy and procedure to provide reasonable assurance that it has sufficient personnel with capability, competence, commitment to ethical principle necessary to perform the engagement in accordance with professional standard regulatory and legal requirement, to enable the firm or engagement partner to issue a report that is appropriate in the circumstances. Human resource include recruitment, compensation, promotion, training, career development, performance evaluation, etc. क्या है रिक्रूटमेंट, कॉम्पनसेशन, ट्रेनिंग, करियर डेवलपमेंट, परफॉर्मेंस इवैल्यूएशन. recruitment compensation training, career development, performance evaluation, etc. Firm assign the management responsibility for each engagement. Firm assign the responsibility for engagement to an engagement partner. Identify the role and firm should assign the responsibility for each engagement to each engagement partner. Firm should establish policy and procedure requiring that, बोलता identity and role of engagement partner. Identity and role of engagement partner communicated to key management of the client and TCWG. बोलता है identity and role of engagement partner communicated to key member of the client management and TCWG. Engagement partner has the appropriate CCAT. बोलता है engagement partner has the appropriate CCAT, capability, competence, authority and time to perform the role. बोलता है responsibility of the engagement partner are clearly defined and communicated to that partner. बोलता है consultations in difficult or contentious matter. मतलब 3 पॉइंट है. देखो, सबसे पहला तो रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ऑफ द एंगेजमेंट पार्टनर क्लियरली डिफाइंड एंड कम्युनिकेटेड टू दैट पार्टनर होना चाहिए. एंगेजमेंट पार्टनर के पास CCAT होना चाहिए, कॉम्पिटेंस, कैपेबिलिटी, टाइम, रिसोर्स एंड अथॉरिटी टू परफॉर्म द एंगेजमेंट. कैपेबिलिटी, कॉम्पिटेंस, authority and time to perform the engagement. Identity and role of engagement partner covers identity and role of engagement partner communicated to key management of the client and TCWG key member of the client management communicated key member of the client management TCWG. engagement performance बोलता है कंसल्टेशन इन डिफिकल्ट और कंटेंशियस मैटर बोलता है firm should take consultation should take place in difficult or contentious matter pertaining to engagement. Consultations include discussions at appropriate professional level with the individual within or outside the firm who had a specialized expertise to resolve the contentious matter. It helps to promote the quality and improve the application of professional judgment which require consultation which require consultation with those have appropriate knowledge, seniority and experience within the firms, outside the firms, and significant technical or ethical requirement other matter appropriate and documentation and implementations of consultation resulting from consultation बोलता है कंसल्टेशन प्रोसीड बोलता है सबसे पहले देखो कंसिडरेशन बोलता है consultations include discussions with appropriate level with the individual within or outside the firm who had specialized expertise to resolve the difficult or contentious matter. It helps to promote quality and improve the application of professional judgment. Consultation procedure require consultations within those having appropriate knowledge, seniority, experience within outside the firm on significant technical, ethical or other matter, and appropriate documentation and implementation of consultation resulting from conclusion resulting from consultation. EQC review बोलता है engagement quality control review बोलता है significant judgment made in the engagement should be reviewed by the engagement quality control reviewer for taking objective evaluation before the report is issued. बोलता है the extent of the review depend upon the complexity of the engagement and risk that report might not be appropriate in the circumstance. Review does not reduce the responsibility of engagement partner. ठीक है EQC रिव्यू मैंडेटरी होता है फॉर ऑल लिस्टेड एंटिटीज के लिए. चलो ये भी ठीक है. बोलता है इंगेजमेंट क्वालिटी कंट्रोल रिव्यू फॉर ऑडिट ऑफ फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट ऑफ लिस्टेड एंटिटीज इंक्लूड द कंसिडरेशन ऑफ फॉलोइंग. engagement quality control review of audit of listed entity include the consideration of following. बोलता है engagement team's evaluation of firm independence in relation to a specific engagement team's evaluation of firm independence in relation to स्पेसिफिक एंगेजमेंट. उसके बाद बोलता है सिग्निफिकेंट रिस्क अराइजिंग ड्यूरिंग द एंगेजमेंट एंड रिस्पॉन्सेज टू दोज रिस्क जजमेंट विद रिस्पेक्ट टू मटेरियलिटी एंड सिग्निफिकेंट रिस्क. Appropriate consultation take place on the matter involving difference of opinion and difficult or contentious matter. Appropriate consultation take place on difficult or contentious matter or appropriate consultation take place in matter involving difference of opinion, difficult or contentious matter. बोलता है significant disposition of UCMS. बोलता है significance and disposition of corrected or uncorrected message statement identified during the engagement matters to be communicated to management or TCWG and other parties such as regulatory बोलता है to matters to be communicated to management or TCWG where applicable to parties to other parties such as regulatory body. Working paper selected for review reflect the work performed in relation to significant judgment. Working paper selected for review reflect the work performed in relation to significant judgment and support the conclusion risk. Appropriateness of report issued. Working paper selected for review reflect the work performed in relation to significant judgment and support the conclusions reached. There might be difference of opinion between within the engagement teams or those consulted. There might be difference of opinion between the engagement teams and those consulted engagement partner or engagement quality control reviewer. बोलता है difference of opinion जो सो engagement teams and बोलता है difference of opinion within the engagement team and with those consulted and between the engagement partner or engagement quality control review. Report should be issued only after the resolution of difference of opinion. Engagement file should be completed not more than 60 days after the date of audit report. In case of audit engagement, in another cases within the limit appropriate to the engagement file should be completed not more than 60 days after the date of auditor's report in case of audit engagement, or in other case within the appropriate time limit to engagement. बोलता है केयर शुड बी टेकन दैट पॉलिसी एंड प्रोसीजर ऑन डॉक्यूमेंटेशन ऑफ एंगेजमेंट क्वालिटी कंट्रोल रिव्यू शुड रिक्वायर डॉक्यूमेंटेशन. बोलता है डॉक्यूमेंटेशन के बारे में. आप बोलता है पॉलिसी एंड प्रोसीजर टू डिजाइन टू मेंटेन कॉन्फिडेंशियलिटी, सेफ कस्टडी एंड इंटीग्रिटी एंड एक्सेसिबिलिटी एंड रिट्रीबिलिटी ऑफ एंगेजमेंट डॉक्यूमेंटेशन. अच्छा, मतलब पॉलिसी एंड प्रोसीजर should design to maintain the confidentiality, safe custody, accessibility or retrievability of engagement documentation. The firm should care should be taken that policy and procedure on documentation of engagement quality control review should require documentation that policy. बोलता है procedure required by firm policy on engagement quality control review have been performed. बोलता है procedure सबसे पहला तो procedure required by firm policy on engagement quality review has been performed. बोलता है engagement quality review has been performed. सबसे पहले procedure required by firm policy on EQC review has been performed. बोलता है engagement quality review has been EQC review has been completed before the report is issued. बोलता है EQC review has been completed before the report is issued. बोलता है reviewer is not aware of unresolved matter that would cause the reviewer to believe that significant judgment engagement teams made under the conclusions they reached were not appropriate. बोलता है reviewer is not aware of any unresolved matter that would cause the reviewer to believe that significant judgment the engagement teams made and the conclusions they reached were not appropriate. बोलता है reviewer is not aware of any unresolved matter that would cause the reviewer to believe that the significant judgment that the engagement teams made and the conclusions is not appropriate. बोलता है सबसे पहले तो policy बोलता है policy required by firm so that EQC review has been completed. रिपोर्ट है बोलता है engagement EQC review बोलता है engagement quality control review has been completed before the report is issued. बोलता है report is issued after the EQC review को perform. उसके बाद बोलता है reviewer is not aware of any matter that would cause the reviewer to believe that significant judgment that the engagement team made and the conclusions there is were not appropriate. बोलता है care should be taken that policy and procedure on documentation of engagement quality control review should require documentation that the policy and बोलता है procedure required by firm policy on EQC review has been completed. EQC review has been performed. EQC review has been completed before the report is issued. Reviewer is not aware of unresolved matter that would cause the reviewer. बोलता है reviewer is not aware of any matter that would cause the reviewer to believe that significant judgment that the engagement teams made and the conclusions were not appropriate. Monitoring by firm should ensure the policy and procedure relating to system of quality control relevant, adequate and operating effectively and complied in practice. Such policy and procedure include ongoing consideration of evaluation firms system quality control, include periodic inspection and selection of completed engagement. Quality control engagement has to be performed taking into the consideration following. बोलता है deciding whether the quality control system of the firm has been appropriately designed and effectively implemented. बोलता है decide whether the quality control system of the firm appropriately designed and effectively implemented. बोलता है whether the quality control system of the firm has been appropriately designed and effectively implemented. Whether the new development in the PSLR professional standard, legal and regulatory requirement have been reflected in the quality control quality control policy. Whether the new development in professional standard, legal or regulatory requirement have been reflected in quality control policy. Conducting monitoring by entrusting the responsibility of monitoring process to partner and other persons with the sufficient and appropriate experience and authority in the firm. सबसे पहले तो डिसाइड वेदर द क्वालिटी कंट्रोल सिस्टम ऑफ द फर्म हैज बीन अप्रोप्रिएटली डिजाइन और effectively implemented, whether the new development regarding the PSLR professional legal regulatory requirement have been reflected in quality control policy procedure. Conducting monitoring by fixing the responsibility बोलता है. Conducting monitoring by entrusting the responsibility of monitoring process बोलता है. Conducting monitoring by entrusting the monitoring process to partner या other persons with the sufficient and appropriate experience and authority. Dealing with complaints and बोलता है dealing with complaints and allegations against the firm and employee of its non-compliance with PSLR. बोलता है dealing with complaints and allegations within the firm and its employee of its non-compliance with the PSLR. बोलता है dealing with complaints and allegations against the firm and employee of its non-compliance with PSLR. उसका taking appropriate actions against the personnel who fails to comply with the quality control policy procedure. बोलता है taking appropriate actions against the firm who fails to comply with QCPP. बोलता है taking actions with the deficiency in design and operation of QCPP. बोलता है taking action when deficiency in design or operation of quality control policy procedure or non-compliance with the firm system of quality control procedure identified. उसके बाद बोलता है SQC1 is modeled online of SQC1. बोलता है it describes the responsibility of engagement partner in relation to following matter: leadership responsibility, quality on audit, leadership responsibility, quality on audit. दूसरा ethical requirement सेम है, leadership responsibility for quality on audit, acceptance and continuance of client relationship and audit engagement. वो उसके बाद फिर assignment, यहाँ पे human resource को assignment of engagement team, उसका engagement performance और monitoring. ये चार चीज़ मतलब टोटल छः में पाँच चीज़ सेम है, बाकी एक ही चीज़ अलग है. असाइनमेंट ऑफ ह्यूमन रिसोर्स को यहाँ पे असाइनमेंट ऑफ एंगेजमेंट टीम्स बोलता है. असाइनमेंट ऑफ एंगेजमेंट टीम्स. लीडरशिप रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी फॉर क्वालिटी ऑन ऑडिट बोलता है लीडरशिप रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी फॉर एंगेजमेंट पार्टनर इज बोलता है लीडरशिप रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ऑफ एन एंगेजमेंट पार्टनर इज टू टेक रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी फॉर overall quality on audit engagement, the actions of the engagement partner and appropriate message to other member of the engagement team, taking responsibility for overall quality on each audit engagement. बोलता है emphasize करता है leadership responsibility for quality on audit. दो चीज़ होता है IQ. बोलता है importance to audit quality and fact that quality is essential in performing the engagement and fact that quality is essential in performing the engagement. So importance of quality of performing. सबसे पहले performing work that complies with PSLR, performing work that complies with professional standard, regulatory और legal requirement. उसका complying with firms QCPP बोलता है firm QCPP, complying with firms QCPP, complying with firms quality control policy procedure as applicable, issuing reports that are appropriate in the circumstance, or engagement team's ability to raise concern without fear of reprisal. Fact that quality is essential in performing audit engagement. Engagement quality control review बोलता है for audit of financial statement of listed entity and those other engagement if any for which firm has determined that EQC review is required. Engagement partner shall determine that EQC reviewer has been appointed. मतलब EQC का appointment हो चुका है. Discuss the significant matter arising during the engagement. बोलता सबसे पहले determine that engagement quality control reviewer has been appointed. Discuss the significant matter arising during the audit engagement, including those identified during the engagement quality control review बोलता है discuss the significant matter arising during the audit. Discuss the significant matter arising during the audit, including those identified during the EQC review बोलता है discuss significant matter जो कि दो समय पे arise हो सकता है arising during the engagement, including बोलता है डिस्कस द सिग्निफिकेंट मैटर अराइजिंग ड्यूरिंग द ऑडिट इंगेजमेंट, मतलब जब इंगेजमेंट कर रहे थे तब, और इंक्लूडिंग दोज आइडेंटिफाइड ड्यूरिंग द इंगेजमेंट क्वालिटी कंट्रोल रिव्यू विद द इंगेजमेंट क्वालिटी विद द EQC रिव्यूअर बोलता है नॉट डेट द ऑडिट रिपोर्ट अंटिल द कंप्लीशन ऑफ इंगेजमेंट क्वालिटी रिव्यू हैज बीन कंप्लीटेड बोलता है नॉट डेट द ऑडिट रिपोर्ट अंटिल द कंप्लीशन ऑफ EQC रिव्यू. उसके बाद बोलता है EQC रिव्यूअर शैल परफॉर्म द ऑब्जेक्टिव इवैल्यूएशन ऑफ सिग्निफिकेंट जजमेंट. EQC रिव्यूअर शैल परफॉर्म द ऑब्जेक्टिव इवैल्यूएशन ऑफ सिग्निफिकेंट जजमेंट बोलता है EQC रिव्यूअर शैल परफॉर्म द ऑब्जेक्टिव इवैल्यूएशन ऑफ सिग्निफिकेंट जजमेंट मेड बाय द एंगेजमेंट टीम्स एंड द कंक्लूजन्स रीच्ड इन फॉर्मुलेटिंग द ऑडिटर्स रिपोर्ट बोलता है ऑब्जेक्टिव इवैल्यूएशन ऑफ सिग्निफिकेंट जजमेंट बाय एंगेजमेंट टीम्स बोलता है ऑब्जेक्टिव इवैल्यूएशन ऑफ एंगेजमेंट. EQC रिव्यूअर शैल परफॉर्म ऑब्जेक्टिव इवैल्यूएशन ऑफ सिग्निफिकेंट जजमेंट मेड बाय द एंगेजमेंट टीम एंड कंक्लूजन्स रीच्ड इन फॉर्मुलेटिंग द ऑडिटर्स रिपोर्ट. इवैल्यूएशन शैल इंक्लूड बोलता है डिस्कशन ऑफ सिग्निफिकेंट मैटर विद द एंगेजमेंट पार्टनर, डिस्कशन ऑफ सिग्निफिकेंट मैटर विद द एंगेजमेंट पार्टनर. उसका रिव्यू ऑफ फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट एंड प्रपोज्ड ऑडिट रिपोर्ट, review of selected audit documentation and significant judgment that the engagement teams made and the conclusions reached बोलता है review of selected audit documentation relating to significant judgment that the engagement teams made and the conclusions reached. Review of selected audit documentation relating to significant judgment that the engagement teams made and the conclusions reached. Evaluation of conclusions reached in formulating the audit report and considerations of whether the proposed audit report is appropriate बोलता है evaluation of conclusions reached in formulating the audit reports and consideration whether the proposed audit report is appropriate. For audit of financial statement of listed entity, EQC reviewer on performing the engagement quality control review shall also consider the following: engagement team's evaluation of firm independence in relation to a specific engagement team's evaluation of firm independence in relation to a specific engagement, whether the appropriate consultation has taken place on the matter involving difference of opinion, whether the appropriate consultation has taken place on the matter involving difference of opinion, difficult or contentious matters, whether the audit documentation selected for review reflects the work performed in relation to significant judgment made and support the conclusions with it, whether the audit documentation selected for review reflect the work performed in relation to significant judgment made and the conclusions reached. ऑडिट डॉक्यूमेंटेशन ये बहुत इजी है. बोलता है एंगेजमेंट पार्टनर शुड डॉक्यूमेंट द फॉलोइंग मैटर पर्टेनिंग टू ऑडिट एंगेजमेंट. इसमें सबसे पहले देखो नेचर एंड स्कोप ऑफ कंक्लूजन्स and conclusions resulting from consultations undertaken during the course of audit engagement. Nature, scope and conclusions resulting from conclusions बोलता nature and scope and conclusions resulting from consultations undertaken बोलता conclusions resulting from consultations undertaken during the course of audit engagement. उसके बाद conclusions reached regarding the acceptance and acceptance of client relationship engagement. Conclusions on compliance with independence requirement that apply to audit engagement. उसके बाद and any relevant discussions with the firm that support these conclusions. Issue identified with respect to compliance ethical requirement बोलता है issue identified with respect to compliance ethical requirement and how they वह रिजल्ट बोलता है issue identified with respect to compliance and ethical compliance with ethical requirement. Issue identified with respect to compliance with ethical requirement and how they were resolved. उसके बाद फिर सबसे पहले तो इसका ethical requirement के बोलता है issue identified with respect to compliance with ethical requirement, how they were resolved. उसके बाद conclusion on compliance with independence. सबसे पहले तो इशू आइडेंटिफाई किया, उसके बाद इशू आइडेंटिफाई विद रिस्पेक्ट टू कंक्लूजन्स आइडेंटिफाई compliance with ethical requirement and how they were resolved. issue identified with respect to compliance with ethical requirement and how they were resolved. उसका conclusions on compliance with independence requirement, conclusion on compliance with ethical independence requirement that apply to audit engagement and any relevant discussion with the firm that support the conclusions, any relevant discussion with the firm that support conclusions. उसके बाद फिर conclusions reached regarding the acceptance and continuance of client relationship. Conclusions reached उसके बाद फिर conclusion दो चीज़ का होता है. Conclusions reached regarding the acceptance and continuance of client relationship and audit engagement. उसका conclusion on compliance with independence requirement. Conclusion on compliance with independence requirement that apply to audit engagement. उसके बाद फिर एक nature and scope of conclusion, nature and scope and conclusions resulting from consultations undertaken during the course of audit engagement. Peer review board is set up in consultation. बोलता peer review board is constituted by council of ICI. Peer review board is constituted by council of ICI. The main objective of peer review board is to ensure that carry out the assurance assignment with TPE technical professional or ethical TPE technical professional or ethical standard, including the regulatory requirement, are complied by the member of ICI. उसे बोलता proper system are in place including documentation thereof. Proper system are in place including documentation thereof which amply demonstrate the quality of assurance service provided by the member of ICI. बोलता है peer review is meant for the purpose of enhancing the quality of professional work. बोलता है peer review is meant for the purpose of enhancing the quality of professional work resulting बोलता है resulting in more reliable or useful audit review. बोलता है peer review means examination review of system and procedure to determine whether the same have been put in place by the practicing unit for ensuring that quality of assurance service as envisaged by the TPE technical professional ethical standard or any other regulatory requirement. Quality review board has been set up by central government. Quality review board has been set up by central government. It consists of member nominated by central government and it consists of member nominated by central government और council of ICI. इसमें दो स्टैट्यूटरी बॉडी लोगों का बंदा होता है. बोलता है सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट का भी बंदा होता है और काउंसिल ऑफ आईसीआई का बंदा होता है. क्वालिटी रिव्यू बोर्ड सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट कॉन्स्टिट्यूट करता है. उसमें सेंट्रल बोलता है क्वालिटी रिव्यू बोर्ड सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट सेटअप करता है और इसमें जैसे सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट और काउंसिल ऑफ आईसीआई का बंदा होता है. फंक्शन क्या होता है मेक रिकमेंडेशन बोलता है मेक रिकमेंडेशन टू काउंसिल रिगार्डिंग द क्वालिटी ऑफ सर्विस प्रोवाइडेड बाय मेंबर ऑफ इंस्टीट्यूट. बोलता है मेक recommendations to council. बोलता है make recommendations to council regarding the quality of service provided by member of ICI. बोलता है review करता है review of the quality of service provided by member of ICI including audit service. बोलता है सबसे पहले तो रिकमेंडेशन बोलता है मेक रिकमेंडेशन टू द काउंसिल रिगार्डिंग द क्वालिटी ऑफ सर्विस. बोलता है मेक रिकमेंडेशन टू द काउंसिल रिगार्डिंग द क्वालिटी ऑफ सर्विस प्रोवाइडेड बाय द मेंबर ऑफ आईसीआई. उसके बाद रिव्यू द क्वालिटी ऑफ सर्विस प्रोवाइडेड बाय द मेंबर ऑफ आईसीआई इंक्लूडिंग ऑडिट सर्विस. बोलता है गाइड करता है मेंबर को टू गाइड द मेंबर ऑफ इंस्टीट्यूट टू इम्प्रूव द क्वालिटी ऑफ सर्विस एंड टू अडेयर टू द वेरियस स्टैट्यूटरी एंड रेगुलेटरी रिक्वायरमेंट. ठीक है, ये तीन फंक्शन है. पहला बोलता है रिकमेंड करता है रिव्यू करता है. बोलता है रिकमेंड करता है काउंसिल को रिगार्डिंग द क्वालिटी ऑफ सर्विस प्रोवाइडेड बाय मेंबर ऑफ आईसीआई. रिव्यू करता है क्वालिटी ऑफ सर्विस प्रोवाइडेड बाय द मेंबर ऑफ आईसीआई इंक्लूडिंग द ऑडिट सर्विस. और गाइड करता है मेंबर ऑफ आईसीआई टू इम्प्रूव द क्वालिटी ऑफ सर्विस. गाइड करता है मेंबर ऑफ आईसीआई टू इम्प्रूव द क्वालिटी ऑफ सर्विस प्रोवाइडेड. नाफरा का कॉन्स्टिट्यूटेड अंडर सेक्शन 132 ऑफ कंपनी एक्ट. ड्यूटी ऑफ नाफरा क्या होता है आल्सो जो बोलता है ड्यूटी ऑफ नाफरा आल्सो इंक्लूड द फॉलोइंग. बोलता है monitor and enforce the compliance with standards and auditing standards. Monitor and enforce the compliance with accounting standards and auditing standards and oversee the quality of service of professional associated with ensuring the compliance with such standards and suggest the measure to improve the quality of services.